Hey guys, it's Archuleta. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about imposter syndrome, what it is, why writers experience it, and what we can do to get rid of it. If you have not done so already, please make sure you subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave me a comment down below. And if you want to learn all about imposter syndrome and how writers can get rid of it, then stay tuned. So lately, you may have heard a term called imposter syndrome. You may have heard it, really don't know what it is, and it may be something that you are really experiencing and don't know that you are. So today we're going to talk about what imposter syndrome is and how it relates to writers and what we can do to overcome it. So what the heck is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is when we don't think that we're good enough to do what we're doing or to be in the space that we're in. It shows up as, I'm not good enough, I don't have enough skills, I don't have the right education, who am I to be writing this book? Who am I to be amongst these other people who have more experience than me, who've been doing this longer? You know, I'm not smart enough, I can't do this. That type of internal language that we so often do. We all experience it at some point, but up until this point, we haven't really given it a name. But that's what it's called, imposter syndrome, when you're afraid of being revealed as a fraud. When you're really not a fraud, it's just you feel like someone's going to find you out or realize that you really don't belong in this space. Maya Angelou talked about having that same type of feeling, even though she was where she was in her career and she was one of the most celebrated writers, poets of our time. She too felt not quite good enough when she wrote her books. That's crazy. What we have to realize as writers that we are not our thoughts. Feelings are not facts, right? Whatever it is we're feeling, we have to decide whether it's really true or not. So the key is when we start to have this internal dialogue going on, we need to stop and ask ourselves, is this really true? Who told me this? And why am I experiencing this? Why am I thinking this? Technically, our brains are wired to protect us. So when we get ourselves in a situation where we feel inferior or we don't feel good enough, our brains immediately kick in to sort of confirm that. But we have to learn how to combat that so we can get over it, because we do belong in the space. All we have to do is learn to adapt a new way of thinking. So here are 3 strategies that we can go through in order to get over this feeling of imposter syndrome. The first thing to do is actually acknowledge the feelings that we have and not pretend that they're not there. So when we start to feel like, you know what, who am I to do this? I'm not good enough. I don't know enough about this. We need to just acknowledge that we're having those feelings. We need to stop and say, wait a minute. Why am I talking to myself like this? Why am I saying these things? Why am I feeling this? Just acknowledge it. Don't pretend that it's not there. The second thing is to develop a response plan. So when we start to have these thoughts, how are you going to respond to yourself? Immediately, when you say, I'm not good enough to do this, respond to that with, you know what, I am good enough to do this. Okay, and if you have written anything before, if you've finished a poem, if you've written a story, if you've written an article, if you've written a blog post before, tell yourself that, you know what, I am good enough. I do know what I'm doing. I do belong in the space. I do belong around these other writers. I may not have this or that, but I have what I have, and that is good enough. The last thing is to overcome perfectionism. Perfection does not exist. all right? Perfection does not exist. So we need to stop striving for perfection. There's no such thing as being perfect. What we can do is strive to be the best that we can be. We come to the table with what we have and what we have to offer, and then that is our best, and we go from there. Overcome the feeling like you have to be perfect. Everything has to be a certain way, because it doesn't. Nothing ever really works out that way, even though we may want it to. We just have to come in with the best that we have and the best that we can do. And that's all we have sometimes. So no one ever said that this writing life is easy, because it's not. It is a daily conversation that you have to have with yourself to get up and put pen to paper, put those words, on your laptop, and strive to be the best writer that you can be. Throughout that process, we do have those thoughts and those feelings of, can I get through this? Am I supposed to be doing this? We all have that. But we can decide to tell ourselves something different, change the narrative about how we approach our writing life. I hope that this gave you some insight into what imposter syndrome is, and that I've given you some strategies to help get over it. I wish you all the best in your writing life. And if you have questions or comments for me, drop them down below and I will respond. You can reach out to me through email or on my social media. All of that information is down below. And until we speak again, take care.